Good afternoon from the Ruby Room at Cornell Public Library. I'm Miss Jennifer, and for today's Tinker Tuesday, we're going to make straw airplane flyers. So first I'm going to go over what materials you're going to need, and then we'll get to making our paper flyers. We're going to be making two of them. They're very similar, but with slight variation. You're going to need paper. Preferably something thicker like cardstock. If not, I suggest you, if you're using thinner paper, to tape two of them together. That way they're a little bit thicker and stronger. You're going to need scissors. You're going to need tape. You're going to need 5 straws. You're going to want some sort of writing instrument to help you mark off. And you're going to need a ruler. So first things first, you can choose special colors, you can use white paper, whatever you want. I've got cardstock, which is a little bit thicker. So I'm going to do very similar measurements. I've got 2 pieces of paper, 1 per flyer, just to make it easy. So I'm going to make 1 band this way and 1 band that way. And we're going to mark off 2 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and mark the 2-inch line and then give myself a nice straight line. So that I have that first band. The second one we're going to go lengthwise and we're going to do 2 inches. Very good. So that's what that one looks like. The next thing, and we're going to do it the same for both flyers. So I need 2 pieces for the first flyer and 2 pieces for the second flyer. Same measurements, but of course after you make your first set, you can always adjust how thick it is and how wide it is to vary it up and see if those variables affect how the flyer flies. So I'm going to go ahead and finish marking up my second one. I'm going to cut them both out, and then we're going to take a closer look and we'll build our first 2 flyers. All right, stay tuned for that. Okay, we're ready to make our first straw airplane flyer. So we've got our shorter paper and then our slightly longer paper. What we're going to do is we're going to tape the loops closed. And you can decorate your paper if you want. Try to make sure you get as close to the edge as possible. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to tape our straw inside. So the easiest way to do this is to put the tape on the straw first and then put it inside your glider. Like so. And then you're going to repeat with the other end of the straw. Okay, so that is our very simple first glider that we're making. So we're going to set this aside. Grab our other paper and the rest of our straws. We're going to repeat the loops. And again, make sure you get as close to the edge as possible. Okay, so this one's going to be a little bit different. Whereas that one had one straw, we're going to use 4 straws. And instead of doing the inside for both, what we're going to do is we're going to tape for the bigger loop. We're going to tape the straw on the inside at the 4 points, but we're going to do on the outside of the smaller loop. And I'm going to tape as I go. So, as you can see, on my smaller loop, my straw is outside. On my bigger loop, the straw is inside. And I'm going to repeat this for all 4 straws. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll come back and show you the final 2 products, and then we'll do some testing, and we'll talk about a little bit about the science about gliders. Okay, so our first glider, pretty simple. And here's our second glider. So now we're going to go test them out, and then we'll talk a little bit about the science behind them. Okay, I hope you guys had fun making our lovely paper airplane gliders. So, as I said earlier, you can definitely tweak these. You can make them thinner, thicker, use less straws, more straws. Maybe you'll use 3 instead of 4. Change the configuration up, and I'm sure if you experiment around, you can find the perfect ratio to make the perfect straw gliders. These are just examples, but yeah, definitely changing how thick the paper is. Like instead of doing 2 inches, you could do like 1 inch. So play around with it, experiment with it. That's half the fun of science. So I hope you guys had fun making them, and we're going to talk a little bit about the science behind it. So, the lift force, or simply as we call it lift, is the sum of all the forces on a body that force it to move perpendicular to the direction of flow. The most common type of lift is that of a wing of an aircraft. Because there are many other common uses, such as propellers on both aircrafts and boats, rotors on helicopters, fan blades, sails on sailboats, and wind turbines. So these are all examples of types of lift. But we're talking about paper airplanes. So the common meaning in the term lift suggests upwards. So when you're lifting something, an upwards action. Lift can also be directional. For example, the sail for a sailboat lift is horizontal, so it's being lifted this way as the wind pushes the boat horizontally. And for the wing on a race car, for example, lift is actually a downwards push. So if we're looking at an airplane, here we've got a little diagram. You've got thrust, which modern airplanes use, like jet engines. For us, our thrust was us pushing our airplane. That was the initial thrust. So, of course, wind going over the, paper airplane or the aircraft, that causes drag. Drag slows it down because it's having to cut through the air. And then gravity also pulls it down. But then the upwards motion is lift, which is what air is. So for an airplane, the air under the wings help lift it, while the thrust helps move it upwards. So all those things combined is what allows our paper airplane and airplanes to fly. So I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit learning about the science behind our paper airplanes, and tune in next week for another Tinker Tuesday. Next week is our engineering challenge, so don't forget to pick up those kits. This month we're doing a keep your rubber duck dry, so you'll have a little rubber ducky in a kit and various materials that you can use to build a raft or a float to keep your rubber ducky dry. So tune in next week for that. All right, see you then. Bye.